looks at the truth behind the legend.
Don't be afraid. No one's here to hurt you.
¡Yes!
Llévense eso, hombres, afuera.
I shot Billy the Kid. I don't think that's him, Pat.
Stay right here.
On the North American plains, opportunity calls men of courage to chase the sun west into a new frontier. They would shape a nation, lay hold of their destiny, and birth a new mythology. But with the passing of time, every myth has its reckoning. William H. Bonney, orphan turned outlaw, low-life scoundrel, and escape artist. A legendary gunfighter credited with multiple murders, one for each year of his short life. But behind every man stands a myth, and behind every legend lies the truth.
Billy the Kid, quite possibly the most legendary outlaw in the history of the American West, a symbolic figure of the untamed frontier. He's a charismatic kid, but he's a killer all the same. Far from the sadistic villain he's often made out to be, though. William H. Bonney is just a boy, a teenager, trying to survive in a man's world where, more often than not, it is kill or be killed.
In the late 19th century, thousands journeyed west, lured by the dream of quick riches in the silver mines and gambling halls. Joining the rush was 17-year-old William Bonney.
Do your bet, raise you some more.
See your bet and raise you.
It's getting hot in here. Can you stand the heat?
I'll raise you again.
We can manage that, Grandpa.
I'll raise you once more, you little pimp.
You owe me.
All I owe you is a beating.
You're nothing but a son of a bitch.
You're hurting me. I want to hurt you.
Toughened by years of fending for himself, Billy adapts to life on the run. But not so long ago, he's just a boy named Henry.
To understand Billy the Kid, you got to know about his mom, Catherine McCarty, an Irish immigrant who comes over in the wake of the Irish potato famine. And Billy winds up acquiring a lot of her kind of charm and survival mechanism.
Much has been fabricated about Billy the Kid's life, but the fact is, little can actually be proven. While legend claims he's born in New York City, the truth is, a birth record has never been found. But two things are certain. Billy is born into one of the most violent times in American history, and the first verified record of him shows up in Silver City, New Mexico in 1868, when he's 9 years old.
New Mexico is an extremely violent place. You have a mix of ex-Confederates, Hispanics. You had a lot of graft and corruption. Law and order, it was few and far between. Within a year, Catherine dies of tuberculosis. Henry and his brother bury her in a simple grave and head out into the world, abandoned by their stepdad and split between distant relatives. Separated from his brother and with few resources and fewer options, Billy resorts to crime, adopting the alias William Billy Bonney. What you got for me, Sheriff?
A ruffian, high-spirited little stallion he thinks he is. Get on in there, youngster.
Glad to have you. All right, what we got?
A young man stealing from guests over to the hotel. Got jewelry, cash money.
Billy the Kid's greatest weapon was his personality. And he did have that aura of innocence that I think made people trust him.
Hey, fella, why don't you let me out to stretch my legs? Please?
All right, son. You've been pretty quiet. I guess you've earned it. Up and down, back and forth. Back and forth. Very good boy.
Chimney escape tells us a lot about the boy and the young man he will become. Unwilling to serve his time, he'd rather take his chances on the run, avoiding confinement at all costs. But ironically, the sheriff is only planning to hold him for one day, hoping to scare him straight. And in this moment of impulse, young Billy starts down the road of being a wanted man for the rest of his life.
orphan to petty thief. Now on the run and in need of transportation, Billy takes another step in his evolution as a criminal.
Billy's got no basis of support, no direction whatsoever. So he does what a lot of desperate kids do. He engages in petty crime. And the lowest of the low in terms of crimes is horse thieving. And he did a little bit of that.
But out west, men depend on their mounts for their very survival. The penalties for horse theft are the same as for murder. Both can get you lynched without a trial. Billy's desperate decision to take a U.S. Army horse lands him in military prison.
Privy stop, please. Just a dog trooper won't kill you. Take him back to his cell. Get up. Oh, come on, Smithy. Why you gotta put him on so tight for?
That'll hold you.
What are you doing? You're just playing with that dog, man. Come on.
Undeterred by the firm grip of authority, Billy uses another tool to gain his freedom, enlisting the help of locals to break him out.
We'll get them iron off in no time, Billy. Come on.
To my character, I refer to any of the citizens. The majority of them are my friends and have been helping me all they could. Oh, come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
The legend that Billy is anything more than a petty thief at this time in his life is a myth. He's clearly making errors in judgment, but he still has the opportunity to turn things around. Local law enforcement has bigger things to worry about. And as bold and cocky as he seems, Billy is still far removed from the murderous outlaw that legend makes him out to be.
Billy's wit and ingenuity give him the confidence to try his hand at professional gambling.
I'll read you again.
But men like Wendy Cahill have a hard time losing to a fresh-faced kid with a smart mouth.
You owe me.
Somebody get him to the dock at Fort Grant.
In the Old West, when people were armed, sometimes arguments resulted in gunfire. But this is an escalation of what Billy the Kid's been involved in thus far. This is where he goes genuinely on the run.
I, Cahill, being convinced I'm about to die, do make the following my final statements.
Damn kid! Johnny! He's gone. A coroner's jury is convened, and a warrant for murder is issued. At just 17, the orphan boy is now a wanted killer. Billy flees to the familiar surroundings of Fort Sumner, New Mexico. Here, he has many friends and feels at home in the Hispanic community.
Billy looks for a new family, and he finds a kind of surrogate one in the Latin culture. He loves the music, he loves the dancing, he's popular with the Latin girls.
Billy has a confident charm that is irresistible to the senoritas. But his arrogance sparks a not-so-friendly rivalry with saloon keeper and future sheriff of Lincoln County, Pat Garrett.
Perdón me, señorita. I said, perdón me, señorita.
Patrick Floyd Garrett was a former buffalo hunter, part ownership of a bar called Beaver Smith's, and Billy was regulating beavers, so they knew each other. It's a small place. But even on his home turf, Billy still has to watch his back. Since law enforcement is so lax, a growing number of vigilante groups have risen to power, and criminality is rampant.
Billy's ripe for becoming a member of a gang. He needs other people around him because he is young. He doesn't have resources. He needs to have protectors.
Billy, save me some grub.
The kid falls in with a gang of stock rustlers known as the Boys. He's naive to their violent ways.
These were outlaws and bad guys, and for Billy to ride with them, it would have informed the rest of his career as a criminal, learning to be a better criminal by palling around with people who were really good at it.
Their leader, Jesse Evans, is a ruthless killer.
So I hear tell you're pretty good with a pistol. Is that how you got shot that fellow in Fort Grant? Don't worry, boy. You're gonna grow into them boots one day. Oh, yeah. Got a dangerous weapon there. That's a can, son. Careful.
Boys are a cutthroat clan, reviled throughout the region. And now, Billy's decided to run with them.
Anybody want any more stew? You?
After killing a man in self-defense, 17-year-old Billy the Kid is wanted for murder. To survive life on the open range, he's taken up with a gang of rustlers who call themselves the Boys.
Billy the Kid is an example of the economics of his time and place. When you push people into desperate situations, they take desperate actions.
We had to make a living. Rustling cattle was about all that was left for us wanted men.
The Boys are guns for hire, working for a network of ranchers who have taken control of New Mexico's Lincoln County.
Lincoln County is huge. It's the size of South Carolina. It's a place that's attractive for what we now call cattle baronism. Billy finds himself in the midst of one of the most famous feuds in the history of the American West.
The county, worth millions in ranching profits, is under the thumb of James Dolan and Lawrence Murphy. The men hold the largest beef contracts and run the leading general store.
Dolan and Murphy are the kinds of men who went west when it was still raw, who staked their claim. These are the types of men who had a vested interest in maintaining their control of everything.
Safeguarding that control is corrupt County Sheriff William Brady. All three men are Irish immigrants. They deeply resent Englishman John Tunstall, an upstart cattle baron and the first to cut into their action.
John Tunstall is an English gentleman who comes from wealth. He's a shrewd businessman who's confident he can drive the Murphy-Dolan cattle cartel out of business. But Tunstall is naive to think he can beat them at their own dirty game. Dolan Murphy and their hired gun, Sheriff Brady, have no intention of giving up their lucrative control of the cattle business, and they will do whatever they can to hold on to it.
Determined to crush their competitor, Dolan and Murphy dispatch the boys to repeatedly raid Tunstall's ranch. The violence escalates as the boys target anyone who opposes Murphy and Dolan or dares to speak out against the boys and their illegal activities.
You just take whatever you want, leave my family alone. They ain't do nothing.
Calm down. This is a man we should be thanking for revealing to our good citizens our doings.
Being part of the gang means you're going to be engaged in some crime, some violent crime. You don't do it because, that's who you are. You do it because, that's what the gang requires. And this is what happens to Billy the Kid.
I'm going to take real good care of your young pretty wife.
When the boys start torturing innocents, Billy makes a decision to bow out.
Hey, where are you going? Jesse, you can't stay in the heart!
When Billy left the boys, he became a cook. If you're trying not to be a hardened criminal, you've got to find something that you can do, even if it is just putting beans in a pot and warming them up.
I don't eat it too fast. No, you got to savor the flavor, all right?
For a while, Billy lays low on a cowboy ranch, content to trade his pistol for a stew pot.
Hey, Miguel, you old bastard, you want some more food? You're wolfing it down over there?
But he can't escape his past.
Hey, Billy, where did you get that horse?
I got it from a friend.
When Billy flees the boys, he unwittingly takes a horse that is stolen from John Tunstall. He's caught red-handed and thrown into the Lincoln County Jail. A squalid hellhole.
Hey, kid, you got a visitor.
My name is John Tunstall.
I know who you are.
I understand you stole some property of mine.
I didn't know them was your horses, sir.
I take it you're familiar with guns and the ways of cattle rustling. Work for me, and I drop the charges. Or you can choose prison.
Oh, I'd like that fine. To work for you, Mr. Tunstall.
John Tunstall decides to offer the kid a job. Gives him his arguably his first big break in life, right? And Billy the Kid never forgets it. He loves Tunstall.
Tunstall is building his own gang to contend with the dangers of New Mexico territory. Lincoln County is home to the nation's highest murder rate and some of the richest and most corrupt cattle ranchers. Billy is grateful for an opportunity to turn his life around. He looks up to Tunstall.
Tunstall sees something he can use in Billy. There's a war brewing. The kid is unafraid, even among grown men. So Tunstall takes him in, and not so much a father figure, but a pretty savvy employer.
To intimidate Tunstall, Murphy and Dolan use their influence over Sheriff Brady and the local judge to issue a writ seizing Tunstall's livestock. And they use the boys to do the dirty work.
Mr. Tunstall, we ought to get out of here.
Billy, you go ahead and get out of here. I'll take care of this.
These men ain't in the mood for talking.
They know who these horses belong to. Now go.
Come on. Yeah.
Tunstall didn't think that there's any danger. The whole thing could have been straightened out had the judge not been on the take from Murphy.
Gentlemen, what can I help you with today? I think we can work this out just fine. These horses are exempt from confiscation. It's in the writ. I'm unarmed. Listen, we can talk this through.
Woefully outgunned, the kid is powerless to intervene. Just weeks after Billy walks out of jail legally and into the greatest opportunity of his life, the only man who gives him a chance is dead.
I'll get some of them before I die.
Weeks after Billy the Kid gets a job as a cattle guard, the man who gives him a fresh start on life, John Tunstall, is murdered before his eyes by the rival Dolan Murphy cartel.
I'll get every son of a bitch that helped kill John. It's the last thing I do.
Billy wasn't the only one who was determined to avenge Tunstall's murder. A number of his former employees formed their own gang and called themselves the Regulators.
While Billy is a regulator, deputized by a justice of the peace, he's still a kid in this fight. The rest of the Regulators and all of the boys are seasoned outlaws. Billy is simply a loyal follower who is willing to put his life on the line to avenge the murder of the only man who gave him a break in life.
Unable to get near Dolan and Murphy, the new deputies ambush Sheriff Brady, who orchestrates the hit on Tunstall. Then all hell breaks loose.
It turns into an insurrection. No one can get control of this. You got judges that are deputizing men right and left. Everyone's legal. It's legal murder.
Billy and the Regulators are ambushed at the home of Alexander McSween, Tunstall's lawyer and business partner. Pinned down for 4 days, the standoff ups the death count to nearly 24.
McSween was killed. The kid and a few others who were holed up in the house managed to escape. From that point on, the kid was on the run.
When the controlling interests for both sides are either dead or bankrupt, the war is over. Governor Lew Wallace issues warrants for the survivors. One of the last men standing, Billy, now leads the Regulators and seeks a private audience with the governor.
They made outlaws of us, so I was edgy about my meeting with the governor. What with all those fresh warrants out on us.
I want to help you, but you need to help me, right?
Yes, sir.
One good deed deserves another. True? You testify against everyone involved in this damn war, and I'll pardon you.
I will. I swear it.
The kid and Lew Wallace come to a deal. They're going to bring Dolan up on charges, and then Billy's going to get a pardon. Well, Dolan does get brought up on charges, but so does Billy.
Billy's meeting with the governor reveals his immaturity. He's firmly entrenched in a criminal life, but fails to see his role for what it really is. Once again, he's looking to worm his way out of the consequences. When the shooting stops, a murder warrant is issued by the governor, and Billy the Kid is the only one indicted for his actions in the Lincoln County War.
When Billy learns of the double cross, he flees to his old haunt, Fort Sumner, and hides out with his girlfriend, Paulita Maxwell, and her older brother, Pete.
You better look at this, Billy. I will pay any person or persons $500 to capture William Bonney, alias the Kid.
Look at that. There I am in black and white. Look at this, Paulita. I'm famous.
An ambitious man familiar with Billy the Kid is tapped for the territory's most dangerous task.
I won't let you down.
Lincoln County elects Pat Garrett as sheriff with one purpose: bring in Billy the Kid, dead or alive.
Pat Garrett was, in fact, more of a politician than he was a lawman. He had dreams of the Senate, perhaps even governor. To capture Billy the Kid would be a feather in Pat Garrett's cap.
With a few top deputies, Garrett heads out, knowing just where to find the Kid.
Just 4 days later, at a place called Stinking Springs, Garrett catches up with Billy.
What up, kid? We got you surrounded.
Go to hell, Pat!
As my dear mother used to say, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Son of a...
Don't you cross that square with my watch.
For more revealing stories on these and other Western characters featured in Legends and Lies, purchase the companion book available at BillO'Reilly.com and bookstores nationwide. After 3 years of outrunning the law, Billy the Kid is finally cornered by Lincoln County Sheriff Pat Garrett.
Come on out, kid! Got you surrounded!
Go to hell, Pat!
We ain't going anywhere. We'll wait you out all night if we have to. All right, fellas. Well, I grabbed him. I got him.
For his part in the killing of Sheriff Brady, they bring him down to Mesilla for a trial, and he's sentenced to hang. They take him from there up to Lincoln.
Just try me one time, Billy. You'll see how that feels.
Aware of Billy's prior jailbreaks, Sheriff Garrett appoints deputies Bob Ollinger and James Bell to guard him day and night upstairs in the Lincoln County Courthouse.
James Bell was an easygoing man, but Bob Ollinger was a bully who kept threatening the Kid, much in the manner that Wendy Cahill did years and years earlier.
Hell, Bob. I'm tired of being up here. I haven't had a meal in 2 days.
I'm gonna go downstairs.
Get some grub. You got it, Bob.
At this point, I think Billy recognizes there's no other option. He's not going to get amnesty. He's not going to get justice. What else but resort back to the way of the gun?
Hey, Jim? Jim, would you just let me please go to the privy? Don't you know I gotta go? Jim? Just let me take one little break. I'm not gonna go anywhere, I promise. I gotta be back here anyway to play poker with you tomorrow. Come on.
Okay, hold yours.
In classic Kid style, Billy convinces Bell to escort him outside. Then on the way back, makes his break. But Billy pauses just long enough to settle an old score.
Howdy, Bob!
Billy has the reputation not only as a violent outlaw, but an escape artist who has the love and respect of the people around him. No one is going to raise a hand against him as he wanders out of town.
Billy's escape amazes everyone, except Pat Garrett, who's publicly humiliated.
The pressure is on Pat Garrett now to get the kid once and for all. He can see future elections slipping away from him if he doesn't deliver.
Gentlemen, Bonnie is armed and dangerous. Already killed 2 of my men. He ain't getting away again.
He learns that Billy is back with Pete and Paulita Maxwell, who may now be pregnant with Billy's child.
Pete Maxwell is a very powerful land grant holder in New Mexico. Having your sister dating a man killer doesn't look good. More than likely, he's the one that tipped off Garrett to the kid's whereabouts.
¿Quién eres?
Don't be afraid. No one's here to hurt you.
¿Quién eres?
¿Quién es eso? Hombres afuera.
I shot Billy the Kid! I don't think that's him, Pat.
Six decades after Billy's alleged death, amateur historian William Morrison is following up on a tip that Billy is still alive and living under the alias William Henry Roberts.
Hi, it's Mr. Roberts.
There's a lot of talk about you being Billy the Kid.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm William Henry Roberts. I've been here a long time, son.
Morrison questions the 90-year-old at length, and eventually Roberts reveals that indeed he is the notorious Kid.
When I come up, you had to kind of look out for yourself. Wasn't always easy, and so you had to do some things sometimes to get along.
I certainly knew a great deal about some of the actual places where Billy the Kid was, some of the people that Billy the Kid knew, and some historical facts which were pretty obscure.
According to William Henry Roberts, this is what happened at Maxwell's house. Roberts and his girlfriend, along with a friend named Billy Barlow, had just returned from a dance. Barlow expressed an interest in having some dinner and was sent to cut a strip of meat hanging from Maxwell's porch. As he approached Maxwell's room, he spotted the 2 deputies.
¿Quién eres? No one's here to hurt you.
Billy Barlow walked into Maxwell's room and said to Maxwell,
¿Quién es eso? Hombres.
At that point, Garrett pulled his revolver and shot and killed the man known as Billy Barlow. Billy the Kid heard the gunshots and went on the run.
I don't think that's him, Pat.
Stay right here.
The next day, a friend of his who brought his horse over to him, helped him mount up, and Billy the Kid rode away.
Roberts tells a convincing story, but Morrison needs more proof. He asks Roberts to demonstrate his dexterity with shackles.
Without hesitating, William Henry Roberts held his hands out and folded his thumbs inward, making it thus easier to slip out of a pair of handcuffs. He said he'd been living in hiding because he feared he was going to be hung for a killing that he said he didn't do.
Moved by Roberts' tale, Morrison launches a campaign to get him a pardon. 2 years later, New Mexico Governor Thomas Mabry agrees to a meeting.
Gentlemen, here he is, Billy the Kid.
For the governor, it's just a publicity stunt. For Roberts, it's another betrayal. Just days later, William H. Roberts dies from a massive heart attack.
The Roberts version of events that night is certainly intriguing. Evidence to support Pat Garrett's claim is hard to come by. The truth is, we may never know for certain how Billy the Kid died. But what we do know is that he became a killer.
Howdy, Bob!
Though he didn't murder the 21-men legend claims, he did kill at least 5 men in his lifetime. Far from innocent, Billy is a wayward youth, living among the brutal violence of the western frontier. Hiding beneath the surface of his charismatic charm is a desperate young man who survives long enough to become